Hello, my friends, and welcome back to New Dalancia, our Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition homebrew campaign. I was like trying to think if I could add more words to that to make it even like homebrew, exciting, LGBTQ friendly campaign. Like, just like keep adding tags to it. Buzzwords. What the hell? Did you just like, how did you just get that like right on the spot? Oh, okay. All right, all right. Does anybody remember what happened last week? Last session. It's not called last week. I made a turban, yeah. Oh shit! You know what? Hold up. My comms aren't coming through for some reason. That's great. I should have probably tested that. Hold on, everybody. There it is. Okay, somebody check their mic.
Check, mic
There
check.
it is. Woo!
Hello.
We got him back. Does anybody remember what
Hey.
the hell happened last time? I'm so sorry.
Well, we started with we all have meat in our ears, and what else, gang?
We found out there was a guy who'd been with us the whole time, apparently, that we couldn't remember.
That's right. Yestis had a partner, or so it would seem.
Pip Quickfoot.
Yep. Oh, it's me, Pip.
Pip, pip, cheerio. Wait, we
Wonder
don't
why.
all remember this guy, right? Like only Tess does?
No one does. You found this backpack and
Oh,
had
so we're
a-
metagaming then.
yeah, it had a
Well, no,
letter in
we-
it. No,
yeah.
we're not metagaming. Like nobody remembers this guy at all. Like
Yeah.
you just know about him because you found this this letter addressed to him in a backpack that you had never seen before in your room at the inn. And in investigating it, you found out that it was this person who had been traveling with Yestis like the entire time. So what you perceive to be him like drinking from this flask and then somehow opening doors, it seems to imply that it was this person who was traveling with y'all that you just cannot remember.
I'm absolutely giggling at the idea of the guy doing all the work and yes, just standing there, just drinking beside him, being like, doing good,
Doing great, buddy.
doing a great job. The supervisor.
Right. So the culprit for all of these disappearances turned out to be a false Hydra. I feel like we're still picking up a lot from my microphone, but either way, we're just going to keep going with it. I need to work on like the sound on this, but we'll get to that later. So let me go ahead and get some music going, and we're going to. I believe we're going to be starting out a new day, right? Y'all ended the last session going to sleep for the night, yeah?
I think that was the hope we would do.
Yeah, I think we all just we gathered in one room, and that's where we went through the bag and found the letter about Pip Quickfoot. So
Oh, you
I think we all just end up crashing in one room together because like we've all experienced trauma and we need the company. I mean, except for we did have
I'm walking around.
yeah, Rec was on guard, so there was like a night watch situation where we were supposed to take turns.
Right. So, how much of the night are you going to spend?
Also,
on
I
watch?
split the party again.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, where are you headed, Yolanthe?
I'm headed to the tower.
The tower? You mean like the temple?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, the
Temple
temple.
of Lamwellen. All right. Well, I guess let's go ahead and pick up there. Now, let me get some mood-appropriate music going. This should be a nice, jaunty tune.
Do, 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 do.
Okay, so it's getting pretty late into the evening, and Ianfyr, you arrive at the Temple of Llanwillen. Everything seems to be pretty quiet, and but the lights, of course, remain on within the temple that you can see from outside.
Okay.
Streets seem pretty barren, devoid of people. There's the occasional guard or a townsperson just kind of walking around. What would you like to do?
Do I still see the neck people? The long boys?
Are your ears plugged?
I think so. I think we if I remember right, we wrapped wolf
I think
versions.
Rec wrangled you and
Yeah. We
tied
wrapped
something
and I
around
guess
your-
I just kept that
Yeah.
on.
So yes, you see giant trunk, like these are like huge, like tree trunk like necks that are reaching out of the horizon and out of the ground at various points around the city, and they're sometimes you'll see these like faces at the end of them that dive down into the city.
I try really hard not to look at them.
Probably for the best.
Anyway, I'm looking for Jalis, or I cannot remember his name, the goblin?
Falscree.
Falscree. Okay, yeah, there he is. I got the journal pulled up. But... so Ianfyr sighs once she gets to the temple, and she goes inside and kind of looks around, just kind of taking in the comfort of being in Llanwillen's, not presence exactly, but, you know.
Yeah, for some, that presence that you would normally feel from Llanwillen is it's rather weak at this point, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So you're, if I remember correctly, you're in wolf form, yeah?
No, I'm in humanoid form.
Oh, okay. So you enter the temple. There are, there's sort of that usual skeleton crew of people who kind of take the night shift, if you will, at the temple. Watching the grounds, that sort of thing. As you enter, one of them kind of turns to look at you and nods in acknowledgement of your presence.
Okay. She nods back and just kind of keeps walking.
Okay, so you walk down the aisle toward this main sort of what's the word I'm looking for? It's sort of like a raised platform, dais.
Oh, okay.
Sort of area that exists at the front of the entry foyer. The people at the temple continue to go about their business, at least for the time being, acknowledging you sometimes as they as a new one enters or leaves.
I think her first inclination now that she's here would be to actually go up to the dais and kind of kneel and say a short prayer. And then after she go ahead.
So on top of the dais is an altar to Llanwillen. People often come in here and they leave various bits of food or otherwise, letters, things like that, money sometimes for as tithe to Llanwillen. I'm assuming that you kneel at the altar and say your prayer.
Yes.
Go on. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, she just kind of mutters a quick little prayer and just under her breath, just kind of between her and her thoughts, I guess. And then when she's finished, she stands up and looks around, and the nearest person, she kind of tugs on their arm or on their sleeve rather, and she says, I hope it's not too late, but could you possibly get Jalis or Falscree or I don't know, somebody?
The person that you approach is a sort of tall and gaunt-looking elf. He has this long, silvery sort of hair about him, and wears leaves strewn throughout it. You're familiar with the visage, So he, not particularly with this person, but you can easily identify him as being one of the druids of the temple, because you've seen so many of them in your life.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Obviously, this person recognizes you as a guest of the temple, as you were already denoted before. He proceeds into the back room, disappears for a little while. At this point, you kind of look up around the main area, the main room of this temple, and it is completely and utterly devoid of life. No one is there. It's very quiet. It almost feels like sort of a liminal space where you get that feeling almost like you're not supposed to be here, but that feeling shortly passes with that welcoming spirit of Lanwillian as he turned toward the table, or toward the altar, I'm sorry.
Mr. William.
Mr. William. After a time, the door...
Is that... Okay, real quick,
sorry?
that feeling, we've experienced that before, right?
Which one?
Or is that new? That feeling of suddenly, like, being in a place we're not supposed to be?
What I'm trying to describe mostly isn't like, I'm not supposed to be here, oh my god, I'm in danger, but there is a sort of subtle sense about you. This
Is it more like when you're that asshole customer that's like, oh, the store closed 10 minutes ago, and you're like, oh yeah, I know, and just keep shopping?
It's like if you were to go explore an abandoned mall, and like everything is empty and devoid of furniture and people, so it feels like you shouldn't be there. That's like that's the feeling
right?
that
Okay.
liminal spaces typically bring.
An empty parking lot at night, you know?
Okay,
Places
that makes
places
sense.
that almost feel like a space in between spaces, like the definition of the space loses its meaning during that time that you spend standing there, at least for the time being. And that's what I'm trying to describe, is that you feel that almost out of place, but in place, placedness. Before long, a door at the back of the room swings open and appears before you. Really need to like get actual... Oh wait, you know what? I do have actual artwork for this guy, so I'm going to go ahead and display that now, because... I'm going to go ahead and display that now. Balscree of the Circle.
Oh, I forgot he has a little critter.
Hey,
What is that?
Ianfyr, was it?
Yes. Sorry, I know it's a bit late.
Not at all, not at all. Welcome back, of course, to the temple. What can I do for you?
Well, we've had some disturbing discoveries today, and I guess I just thought maybe you guys should be in the know as well.
His sort of his gaze at you becomes one of concern, of course, and he sort of gestures toward the front, toward another door of the temple, and says, "Would you like to take a walk in the garden?"
She perks up a bit and she says, "Yes, absolutely."
Sure, follow me. You follow Falscree out a door on the side of the temple, and through a couple of rooms, hallway, and finally to a big double door, which he opens one of, and outside is this beautiful garden. So if you imagine this kind of night scene of a nice, sort of tranquil place, there is just growth, vines, vegetables, herbs everywhere, and it smells wonderful. He starts to lead you down a path that you can identify as just kind of walking through the garden. So, What's troubling you? Ianfyr? Did we lose you? Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
So can I.
I think maybe we
Acid,
lost
are you
Ianfyr.
muted? Oh, okay.
Let me... Ianfyr, I think we lost you. So I'm going to go ahead and cut to you guys until we get back until we get Ianfyr back. I didn't leave her in the scene. No, I didn't leave her in the scene. Oh yeah, I did. Okay, let's remove Ianfyr from the scene there.
Is that better?
Oh, there you are.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me cut back then. My bad. Okay. So I'm not sure how much of that you heard from me.
I heard everything. I was yapping away, and then I realized y'all couldn't hear me. So sorry, everyone.
Hey, no problem. So yeah, Falscree turns to you and he says, "What troubles you?"
Ianfyr takes a little puff of her pipe, and she kind of sighs and says, "I remember we told you there were some weird things happening around the town, and we've kind of figured out why, and the answer's not good. And you guys should be aware for your own safety, and also maybe if there's any way y'all can help us to figure out how to stop it.
I see.
We're a bit in over our heads, I think."
Hey, anything we can do to help and preserve the balance, of course.
Yes, this thing is as unnatural as it gets, I think.
Oh, I'm all ears.
What do you know about false hydras?
False what now? I've never heard of that.
She kind of hangs her head a little bit, like hoping. She had been hoping that maybe there would be something he could say, but she kind of. I don't want to. I know we just kind of recapped, so she kind of goes down, explaining a little bit how the day had gone, where they went on into the shop and found Rex scrabbling on the wall, and then gone into the I guess forge, was it? And found the hole there, and like just basically everything that they'd found, and talked about how Tess had discovered if we keep our ears closed, then we can see it. And she points at her own ears, which she's lifted up one of the like bandages, I don't know, rags or whatever, off of one ear so that they can talk, but the other one is still plugged.
As soon as you do that, you forget everything about the false hydra. Until you clamp it back shut, of course.
Yeah, I think that since it doesn't really make sense for us to be having this conversation where she can't hear, she just kind of keeps like lifting it up whenever it looks like he's talking and then putting it back down. So it looks probably really weird.
I mean, you can still hear him. You can still hear him, sort of. Your hearing is pretty good, but everything's kind of muffled. But he is actually the only sound.
Okay.
So he's not being like drowned out by any sort of other.
All sound.
No, not all sound. You can still hear, but it's muffled. So you can make out what he's saying, mostly because there's not a whole bunch of other noise like burying what he's saying.
Okay, yeah, that makes way more sense. All right, that's cool. All right, so
Quiet temple.
Yeah, just I guess retcon. She just kind of points at her. She still has one ear like untucked for a second, and then like puts it back, and she kind of blinks in confusion, and she's like, shakes her head a little bit, and she's like, "This is just. It gets weirder and weirder. We're still trying to uncover everything, but we don't even know where to begin. As soon as we try to figure anything out about this thing, we forget about it." It's, and she kind of rubs her temples and like sighs again. She's like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to be helpless.
It sounds frustrating. When we first met, one of mine had received a vision. A dream, a vision of you. And your band of
I remember.
friends. I know that Lamwillen has some special plan for you. Now, what that all entails, I don't know, but anything that I can do to support you in your, well, quest. You know that you have the support of the temple. All you
She
need
smiles
to do is
and
ask.
she smiles and she nods and she says, it's good to hear. I didn't exactly have the best experience with druids growing up, to be honest. And she kind of gestures at herself like, I know, it's a bit ironic. But, well, actually, there is one thing you can do. I came here to warn you guys about all this and give y'all a sort of way to be prepared and be alert, I guess. But I did also have a sort of ulterior motive to come.
Do tell.
She's quiet for kind of a long time, takes a little puff of her pipe, and then she finally says, I wondered if you could send a letter to someone for me. I would do it myself, but never. I'm still learning the...
That's a strange request. We're hardly a postal service, you understand, but... who are you trying to send a letter to?
My sister.
I see. Another druid, maybe?
Yes, Are you familiar with the Herald of Spring?
I'm sorry, the Herald of what now?
She actually looks a little bit relieved, but she's kind of like, well, it doesn't matter. It can't come from me, but maybe coming from another, important member of a druid caste could. I just want to check on her. I just want to make sure she's okay.
And you'd like this letter delivered on the temple's behalf, is it?
Yes. I know it's a bit strange. They can't know I'm here.
Normally we'd be pretty selective about such a thing, but for you... All right. Write your letter. I'll make sure it gets delivered.
And she kind of shuffles her feet and looks a little bit, embarrassed. And she's like, I don't know how.
Look, there's one more thing. So he starts reaching sort of into the folds of his cloak, his leather adornments, and produces this shiny silver symbol of a tree that he then hands to you.
Oh. Thank you. What is this? And she kind of looks it over in her hand.
Do you remember when I told you before that I didn't come from the temple, obviously. I'm a fucking goblin. Let's say I had a colorful past. One day, I had a chance encounter with a certain individual. I don't really want to name names. You understand.
She nods.
Let's say this person is instrumental in helping me find my way. And when I started on with the temple, they gave me this symbol. And it's something that's really meaningful to me. And I tend to look at it for guidance, that sort of thing. I'm kind of hoping it'll do the same for you.
She kind of looks it over, turns it a little bit in her hand, and nods, and kind of bows her head to him. And is like, "Thank you. This is a great honor. A great
Wolfie,
gift.
where you're going, I feel like you're gonna need it.
You might be right." And she puts the little object in her pocket, I guess. Pouch.
Otherwise, if there's anything else you need of the temple, take your time here. It's quiet, it's serene, it's calm. Center yourself, and then go do what has to be done.
I like being here a lot better than in the city, but I think I must go back and check on my friends.
Of course. You're welcome here anytime.
But just please, if you would check on my sister. I wish that she was here sometimes.
Absolutely. So you're gonna write a letter, or?
Yeah, I'll find a way. I have a friend who can write, and I trust her, so.
I'll see to it gets where it needs to go.
Thank you, friend.
Balance in all things, friend.
Balance in all things.
Meanwhile, back at the What Ails You Tavern. Everybody's been putting down, settling in for the night. They've all decided to sort of settle into a single room in order to make the watch a bit easier so that no one suddenly vanishes. No one you can remember anyway. Rek, you're perusing the halls of the What Ails You Tavern with meat of your rations stuffed into your ears, you fucking degenerate.
Yeah, that's about the way it goes. Yeah, Rek's gonna keep making the rounds here around the room, into the surrounding area. Keeps checking the other doors, looking in, coming back out. After he kind of, I would say he's gonna wear off some of that nervous energy as people start to be okay for a while, and he's going to start side working on a project in the next room. So he's gonna empty out a bowl and go around. He's gonna find some candles, and he's gonna start pouring wax into a bowl so he can start making wax earplugs with bits of string.
Sure, yeah. Easy to find candles in here. There's actually a storeroom that you know of really close by. It's bam right here. That has candles in it that are meant for your stay.
Okay, yeah. As he's been walking around, he's been coming up to every door, looking, and then going back. So yeah, if he would have spotted them there, he would have started picking them up, and between his runs around the hallway, he stops every once in a while and collects some wax and a little bit of string and makes it into a little earplug and starts making pairs and pairs and pairs of them as he's continuing his watch of the evening.
At some point, you doing your rounds, you find Val Phelan fully awake and just sort of staring blankly out the window, still with the wrap around his head.
I'll come up to him, and Rec will hold the little blue gem for his. Oh, that's gonna talk to everybody, isn't it? Or can I pick who the?
So the ring has various gems inlaid into it, and then a sort of master gem, if you will, and each of those gems represents one of the members of your party. So if you clutch one of the gems, you can speak to one person directly, like Antarius, or Valphalin. If you clutch the, it's sort of like the, it's a blue gem that's laden into it. It will blast a message out to everyone. So yes, in other words, you can speak to individual people in your chat. Yeah.
Okay. I walk up to him and look at him. Reach up, figure out which gem is his, and be like, "Hey, you all right? You see something?" Or,
no, friend. Just can't sleep.
I understand that. Here I'm making something. If you if you think this will help you better, and he walks him over to the table where he's got his whole little setup of making things and gestures. If you need to do something differently for side of your head,
Oh, I see.
might make a better thing. And of course, I've been making more so we can distribute them out if we need to help more people.
I'm worried, friend.
Oh, I am too. And Rex now looking out the window, going.
Rek, as you stare out the window, earplugs in your ears, there's you also see the huge trunk-like, necks. What you've discerned to be necks, just kind of reaching up and sometimes diving down. Occasionally, you'll see one sort of peer into a window of an establishment, maybe across the street or down the way. How do we fight something that we cannot see? How do we fight something this big?
Well, I'm not one for knowing, but whether I can see it or not, I'm gonna swing at it. If you get my meaning, I'm gonna try whatever it takes. I don't know what this fight's gonna do. I don't know if killing these head neck thingies is gonna stop it, or if it's just gonna make it mad, or if we gotta find where they connect.
Val takes a long drag off of this pipe and puffs smoke out of the nostrils. I admire your determination. Just know, and he places a hand on your shoulder, no matter what, I will always stand with you, friend.
I appreciate that, Val. It's good to know we got each other's backs in all this.
Just don't forget me.
Don't you forget me either.
Doubt I could.
And he's yeah, I mean, if you want to stay up, you know, he looks and he kind of shows him one more time of how he's going and putting these together. If you need something to do to pass the time, feel free. I'm gonna go make another round.
Indeed. I'll be here at least until I feel tired or some such.
All right.
He kind of
And then,
positions in front of the window, just kind of staring out, puffing on his pipe, and looking out over the devastation, the giant trunk-like white pale necks of these hydra heads.
And then Rec will go back, make another round before coming back to the room.
Ianfyr, at this point, you probably have returned
Yeah.
to the tavern.
I think so. I don't see my token on the screen, though. That may have been because of my blip out earlier.
Try refreshing real quick. You should now have a token on the screen.
Do, 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 do.
Is anybody else awake at this point? Anybody else unable to sleep with this eerie ass music?
Do we need to roll anything to see if like we're actually able to sleep? Like if we're able to calm down?
Yeah, sure. Roll a Constitution check.
Okay.
So this all has been pretty alarming. Ianfyr is just eyes wide. Tess, you're out cold.
Can't sleep. Heads will eat me.
Me.
Can't sleep. Heads will eat me.
Can't sleep, heads will eat me. Can't sleep, heads will eat me. Ianfyr, Sarahee is dozed off in a chair. It's not letting you into the game? Ianfyr? That's strange.
Yeah, it just keeps saying the site can't be reached, but we can just theater the mind me for right now until it figures itself out.
Okay, we're just at the end. What are you doing? Are you going inside? Are you?
Yeah, I'm just going inside and pretty much going straight to the room, but just kind of like flumping down somewhere and just sighing heavily. So
As
I'm
you
not
walk
really
in,
like.
The bartender, Kolvar, is sort of washing glasses, and you see him kind of wiping down the bar. As you walk in, he acknowledges you. Hey, welcome back.
She gives him a little wave.
Continues to walk back toward the room. Just going to kind of drag you through the wall here.
Okay.
As you're proceeding down the hallway, you come across Ianfyr, fully awake, and I mean, he looks pretty damn nervous. Are you just gonna continue into the room?
Who, me?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Oh.
you approach, and Ianfyr is awake still. He's like out in the hallway, and he looks pretty bothered.
I don't think I'm really like paying attention. I'm just kind of like on autopilot. It's still not letting me in. What the heck?
Yeah, really weird. We'll be on
sorry.
break here in a bit. We can kind of tinker with it. Let me.
Sorry, I think my Wi-Fi may have dipped out for a second there and caused some problems.
Try that.
Oh, Wi-Fi.
Ianfyr, you see Ianfyr approaching. Seems to kind of just pass right by you and head into the room. At this point, Rek, you've probably also encountered Ianfyr in the hallway.
Yeah, I keep seeing him.
Hey, here I go.
Ianfyr, what are you up to?
I mean, since I don't really seem to have the ability to sleep, I guess I'm kind of just like watching over everyone at the moment.
For the most part, everyone in the room seems to be sleeping soundly, although you can't account for Valphalin, who had left the room a little while ago, as well as Rek, who is still doing rounds about the perimeter. Are you walking anywhere? Are you staying in place? What are you doing?
I'm probably staying in place.
Okay. Rek, roll me a perception check, please.
Alright. Just a normal one?
Yeah.
19?
19. As you pass by one of the windows, one of the faces appears just subtly in the window. It looks kind of like this.
No.
Oh, woof.
Just sort of staring into the window at you as you pass.
Which window?
We'll say it's this one here.
Alright, so I'm like, okay, let's... What kind of windows are these?
They're made of glass. They are they're able to be opened.
It's closed right now?
Yes, it is closed right now.
Okay. I'm just gonna hang off to the side then.
Are you looking back at it?
Not directly at it, no. I'm just kind of hanging out in the hallway. I close this door. Move down.
You notice that its jaw sort of slacks open, and although it's muffled, you can hear this. It's almost like a cacophony of like various voices screaming all at the same time.
Okay.
A few seconds pass, and the face vanishes. It just sort of disappears into the darkness.
Okay. I do a couple walks past the window, just slightly gazing out just to make sure. If I don't notice anything else, then I go back upon my rounds, checking in on the rooms, making sure everyone else is okay. Then,
Ianfyr, are you asleep, or are you,
No, just kind of staring up at the ceiling, I think.
Oh, you rolled.
I did?
No, Ianfyr didn't roll. That's Ianfyr. Ianfyr didn't need to roll at that point. She wasn't trying to get asleep. So you're just awake, staring at the ceiling, is it?
Yeah, pretty much. She just kind of flumped down into the nearest chair and just just kind of, she's starting to try to trance, but she's too distracted.
You sit across from the from Sarahee, whom you know is, as far as Ianfyr's memory serves, deceased. But here she is, alive and in front of you, sleeping in this chair, arms folded around her, and sort of slumped backward, head pointed toward the ceiling, breathing deeply. Next to her, Darkul sits in another chair, also slumped back and asleep. Yestis next to you. Yestis, although he's asleep, he occasionally grasps at something in his pocket on his jacket.
Is it the flask?
Don't know. It's something.
Is his pocket, like, within my reach?
I'd say you can see it. Yeah, he's like right next to you.
Okay. I think that she assumes that he's, like, grasping at his flask, and she kind of looks at it and she thinks, man, a little drink actually sounds kind of nice right now. I'm sure he won't mind if I take just a little.
Okay. I'd like you to go ahead and roll a sleight of hand. That's still a thing in this one, right? Yes, sleight of hand. Go ahead and roll sleight of hand.
Is it advantage since he's asleep?
Actually, yes. Yeah, advantage. Go ahead and roll a second time.
Ayy.
You go into his jacket, and as it turns out, that is absolutely what he was grasping at, was the flask. And as you pull it out, you notice some writing on the flask that you had never noticed before, and it's sort of an engravement.
Okay, well, she can't read. But she kind of looks at it. She's learned a few letters from the professor at the library, like kind of starting, learning the letters of the alphabet in common. Can I don't know what I would roll to decide if I would recognize any of them.
I'd like you to go ahead and roll a wisdom check. This will be a DC 20, and at the same time, Rec, I'd like you to go ahead and roll a perception check, also DC 20.
I'm not very wise.
You do not recognize any of the writing.
Okay, well, she kind of looks at him, and again, she's like, well, he has kind of a funny little name, so I guess it's just his flask. And she opens it up and takes a little sniff.
That's definitely alcoholic. It has sort of it has a very abrasive sort of scent about it. It's very earthy, I would call it, but at the same time, it's also very, very strong.
Yeah, she likes earthy things, so she's like, all right, just a little sip, and then I'll give it right back. And then she takes just a little taste.
You take a little sip of this flask, and it is just one of the more offensive things you've ever put in your mouth. Like, this is very, very strong alcohol.
She actually, like, sputters a little bit and, like, coughs.
Yep.
Ianfyr, can I see Lengthy from in front of Sarahee?
You can see Ianfyr. You can see that she has grabbed a something from Yestis here, but you can't see what it is.
I was gonna say, is that something to help me sleep?
Are you gonna approach?
I will try.
Okay, go on. As you wish.
Oh, let me see if it will. There we go.
She kind of holds it out like the way you hold out something that's like dripping that you're trying to very quickly yeet into the trash, and she like holds it out towards him like, I don't think it will, man.
I'm gonna take a look at this flask here. It looks a little unusual.
So Ianfyr can read the engraving.
It says, "To my partner, my best friend, Pip."
It says poison.
Apparently, this flask was a gift to him from his partner, who he cannot remember.
That's a little sad. I am gonna take a sniff of this alcoholic drink then.
This is probably the strongest alcoholic drink that you have ever sniffed in your life. It is quite, quite potent.
I want to say, well, it'll probably knock me out pretty fast then.
Actually, given your background, I'd like you to go ahead and roll a intelligence check.
Okay. Come on. There we go.
Hey, this is whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
Very strong whiskey at that. Smells more like alcohol than whiskey. You wonder if this drink has been tampered with to, like, make it stronger. Maybe magically?
Magical whiskey.
I mean, all whiskey is magical in some fashion.
Everyone loves magical whiskey.
Yeah, you know what? I couldn't sleep from all the thoughts. I will give this a sip.
You take a swig of the whiskey. It's really harsh going down. As soon as it hits your tongue, it's almost like a stinging sort of metallic kind of sensation. Although I wouldn't call it metallic, really. It's a very heavy alcohol.
I want to say, maybe we should put this back where it came from.
He can keep it. And she reaches over to take the flask and put it back in his pocket.
Go ahead and roll a dexterity check or a sleight of hand check for me.
There it is. There's that one we were all waiting on pins and needles for. I spill it on his fucking crotch.
You go to put the flask back into his inner jacket pocket, but doing so, you happen to sort of touch him a little bit.
Ew,
with it.
no.
Not like that, you fucking nasty.
We were trying to put it back in his jacket, not in his fucking front pocket of his pants, dude.
He wakes up. Hey. And he like feels around in his pocket for the flask. What's going on?
Oh man, you were moving around in your sleep, man. Something awful. Sorry, it looked like it fell down and came out.
Roll a deception check, please.
Look at Ianfyr being all quick on his fucking feet.
Oh my god, this is Revenge of the One. This is ridiculous. What the fuck? Dice jail. Dice jail.
Dice jail. And he snatches the flask from you, Yolanthe, and he takes a quick sip of it.
Yolanthe covers her nose and, like, kind of looks at him a little bit, like, side-eye-ish, and she's like, how can you drink that? What's even in it?
Whiskey. And how he can drink it, he takes another really long sip from it. Well, Let's just say as an investigator, you know, you see some shit.
Yeah. And she takes her pipe out and just kind of lights it up. She says, I think I'll stick to this from now on, then. You ever, seen anything like this, though?
Like what?
She just
What do
kind
you-
of
feel like
gestures
gesturing?
around vaguely, like,
Oh, you talking about the Hydra?
yeah.
He reaches over to the table and grabs the little meat wads and stuffs them back into his ears. Yeah, the Hydra. Right. Takes another long sip from that flask and he like passes it over to you.
She very quickly starts waving her hand like, no, 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 no.
Suit yourself. He kind of holds it up to you, Ianfyr.
No, that's okay. I'm good.
He takes another long sip from it.
Is this flask never ending?
No, I ain't never seen shit like this.
Hmm.
All my years. I've seen some gruesome shit. Murders. One time just over the salt over there was he kind of gestures in the vague direction of what you, Ianfyr, know to be what the hell's the name of that city? Argentport, which is just over the Gulf. It's kind of the closest city to Schapeben, and you've actually taken a boat over there a couple of times with Sarahee. Gorgeous city. Lights at night are beautiful. This is a farmer, just on the outskirts. He had all his livestock just butchered. Oh, it's gruesome. Yeah, that shit seems mild now. And he takes another long sip off that.
Sorry, like, out of character, are we all just sitting here drinking whiskey and smoking and Rex having a fucking panic attack in the hallway behind us?
Yes.
I was letting everyone do their thing, but Rex making the rounds as he comes back around. He's gonna be like handing out. Here's a handful of earwax, earplugs.
Oh, earwax. I mean, wax, not earwax. Not earwax.
Oh yeah.
It's
Not earwax.
now.
They're wax earplugs for your ears.
I made them
No.
myself.
Made them
From myself.
Ew.
But yeah, since he sees they're awake, he'll go ahead and hand a few out to each of them, and like a handful, so they've got plenty, and then he keeps making the rounds.
So, are you lot gonna fight this thing? Or, are you just gonna get out of Dodge?
Well, it'd be pretty shitty to leave something like this here for the people to just get devoured by. Plus, it could always travel, I'm assuming. Maybe it's even getting stronger. Maybe now's our best chance to get rid of it.
Yeah, shitty, yeah. I mean, you'd survive, though. Maybe you could come back, army. You know, a militia. You know what I mean?
I don't know any armies.
Fucking
But-
me neither.
I don't know. We'll figure that out, I guess. But what about you? You came here for a job, for a somebody who was missing, and it turns out they're no longer missing. I mean, you could always leave, and no one would be upset about it, I suppose.
Yeah, you know, I could just leave, right? Just call it a day. And he takes another really long sip. It really does seem like this whiskey is like bottomless that he's got.
Maybe that was the magic.
And he like flips this he flips the flask around, once again exposing the text on the side of it. The text once again that you were not able to discern, and he says,
Yeah.
"You know, I think I've got my own reasons. And for once I'd like a little bit of vengeance."
She kind of squints at the text, like she's trying to see if maybe 10 minutes later she can read it, but then she...
Go ahead and roll a intelligence check. This time I'll let you roll with advantage for the amount of time that you've seen this text. We're gonna say that you've had a little bit of time to sit there and like try to remember all the stuff that you learned from the librarian.
Nope, it's a 7.
Advantage. One more roll.
Oh, shit. Okay.
You're now able to read what's on the flask.
P. I. P. Peep. Peep. Peep.
I don't remember him at all. But obviously this was somebody who was really important to me, and I was really important to them. And as far back as I can remember, well, it doesn't happen very often. So, I mean, if you lot are gonna fight, then I think I'm gonna fight too. You can close out the Hydra face. You don't have to keep that.
No, it's just been like
It's just,
poking
like,
its
still
head in
sitting
the
there
door
like-
this whole time.
I mean, I figured I would keep it up because that's kind of like that's the overall vibe. Like no matter what we do, there's gonna be those faces out there.
I
So
thought it was like
watching.
poking
I'll
its head in
close
the
it,
door,
I'll
like,
close
I
it.
want some of that whiskey.
Hey guys.
Hey, can I get some of that?
Hey.
I've passed, man.
Pass? What the fuck?
Well, I have a pipe.
You do, yeah. You do. Before long, there is a voice at the door. I thought I heard talking in here. Are you also not able to sleep?
I think we're all afraid that if we close our eyes, we'll open them and one of us won't be here.
Test perception check. Disadvantage.
I mean, is that how it works? So we sleep and then the next day someone's gone?
Tess, you wake up to hear people talking.
Can anybody really not sleep? How are we supposed to fight such a beast if everyone's going to be exhausted?
How are we supposed to fight such a beast regardless?
Continue drinking whatever yes this has. It seems to be bottomless either way.
Rek, as you pass by, you notice like most everybody is awake.
We're having a little party now.
He's like, oh, he comes back with more handfuls of earplugs and hands them out. Here you go. Here you go. I made
We're
these.
apparently having a wake over because we can't sleep.
Oh yeah, Tess will definitely be trying to put those earplugs in, as well as helping Scrito get earplugs into his little ear holes.
Scrito, still
Oh, I
asleep.
bet he loves that.
She'll just poke them into his ear holes while he's sleeping.
Can I ask a quick recap question?
So, yeah, sure.
How did we get the stones?
They were given to you on board the ship by Kimrim.
Antarius, wasn't it?
Well, Kimrim and Govin had given them to Antarius, who distributed them among the party. They had attained them during their jaunt to Godbury to speak with the Emperor there.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
remember I
have
sort of asked, like, because they were sending rings that they could use as earrings, and I was like, I hope they don't have the rings for other things too.
Yeah,
Well, like-
Ianfyr got a cock ring.
But it,
You didn't really get a cock ring, but
no, that's canon now.
that's now canon. Every
Every
time
time you have to- have to
Ianfyr wants to
you have
talk
to
to
just,
anyone, he grabs his cock.
He has to like Michael Jackson grab his fucking crotch.
If I get a collar, you get a cock ring. That's canon. I don't care. Oh, but anyway, but this wasn't like a recently, like we've had it for a while, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been like 4 days since you've been in Schapeben, so yeah, you got him like a couple days before you got here.
Okay, interesting.
So it's been less than a week since you received them. You've
So-
put them to good use, I have to say.
Yolanthe's kind of like poking at her ear wax to try to like adjust it a little bit, and she kind of like is keeping her hand on the collar so that everyone can hear her talk, and she just kind of has a little blink thought, and she says, does anybody think it's really convenient that we got these before we had a monster that makes it to where we have to keep our ears covered?
Convenient how?
I mean, I have never seen these things before. Have you? And we just happened to get them 2 days before we, I guess, have to fight a monster we can't see if we can hear it.
Ianfyr?
Yep.
You recall various devices like this in use at the college. Sending stones are pretty common, and it's also very common to. So the way that these work is they have a sending stone that represent each of the people that are in your party, and each of the you can touch one of those to speak to them directly. Otherwise, you can actually you can use this amplifier stone. I believe it's a sapphire, if I remember the design correctly. You can touch on this sapphire, which acts as an amplifier for that magic, and it allows you to not only send multiple messages per day, it also allows you to speak to everyone in the group. But otherwise, they're actually pretty common.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, I've heard of them. I know we've had them in use. I imagine probably that's how a lot of the guards keep in contact with each other for
That's exactly how they do
alert. But I mean, we did just come back from the mirror, and we were out of contact from Kimrim when we had to leave her behind. So I imagine that it was more of a measure of they wanted to have this thing for us, so that way we can keep in contact if we ever had to go back through the mirror.
Yolanthe seems to kind of relax a little bit, and then she rubs her head like she has a headache, and she's like, I'm getting so paranoid and suspicious of everything.
While Ianfyr is up, he's actually going to. Is Sarahee still asleep?
Let's see. No, Sarahee seems to have woken up and is still kind of slumped back in the chair, but his eyes open.
I guess I'm gonna say, well, we don't really seem to have any ability to sleep at the moment with these things scaring us, and we're all already up, so I guess I might as well see what this gift from Sarahee is about.
Let's see. So do you actually... Man, it's been so long, I don't remember if you actually have the ability to open it in your inventory or how that works. Give me a second here.
I don't even know if it's in.
Rex steps into the room, sees that everyone else is awake, and was like, "All right, well, you guys protect me. And then he lays down in the bed.
Tess is gonna start making rounds next after that.
I think Yolanthi's gonna go with Tess.
Ianfyr. Give me a second here. Man, where did that go? There was like a little lockbox. I see a tinderbox. Man, okay. I wonder if I like... Let me see if I still have this somewhere. Oof.
Oh, I have a wooden lockbox.
Where do you see that? Oh!
In my inventory, I have it right next to my back pocket.
Okay,
my
yeah,
backpack.
it's a... Right, they made it different. So it's a container. And that doesn't seem to have... Dude.
While y'all figure this out, Yolanthi kind of sighs with relief as she goes with Tess down the hall, and she says, "Oh, I'm glad that we're doing this because that smaller room full of that many people was very smelly, and my sense of smell is a lot stronger than y'all's."
Tess just wishes she could have gotten a little bit more sleep with everything going on.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it is not your fault. No need to apologize.
Tess, or not Tess, Yolanthi
Although
takes a...
that alcohol smell was quite potent.
Yolanthi takes a puff of her pipe and offers to Tess if she would like some.
Tess appreciates you, but no thank you. Need to stay on my toes. Especially with these creepy faces outside.
You see another one? Where?
Tess does not have to see them in order to know that they are there.
Yes, that's true. And then she's kind of quiet for a little bit and she says, "Tess, you know how to write, don't you?"
Oh yes, Tess learned a very long time ago how to write. That is why Tess has a journal, and she'll pull out her like thick-ass journal and kind of show it to Yolanthi. Tess takes notes of every single adventure that our friends have, our team. Keeps them all here in this journal.
Yolanthi looks like fascinated, like she is so like impressed. And then she kind of like looks down at the ground. She says, "Can you help me write something? Not right now, but at some point."
Of course. Whatever you need, friend. Tess will be here for you.
Did we stall long enough for you guys?
Yes. Thank you.
Perfect.
Exactly long enough. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Ianfyr, here's the letter. The letter says, Ianfyr, I may not be able to make it to this afternoon, but I hope this letter finds its way to you anyway. Father has been on another one of his authoritative episodes again, so I'm restrained to my room as usual. I deeply enjoyed our trip to Argenport last week. It's incredible how you're able to slip away from your mother so easily, and I really appreciate your saving up for the ferry tickets. The ocean was beautiful, and Argenport was more than I ever expected. It really got me thinking, let's leave the city. Let's get out and go adventuring. Surely our talents could be put to use in the world at large, and there are plenty of chumps out there to fill our corn purses. Living the life of nobility is obviously not for either of us, and we've proven we can handle ourselves in tough situations time and time again. The Institute rejected you, and I've no interest in supporting them anyway, so let's just leave Schapeben and find our own path together. What do you think? If you're in, just leave me a letter. in the usual spot and let me know where you want to meet up next. Your truest and most dashing friend, Sarahee. There are some other items inside this wooden box. One of them is a potion and the other one a whistle. Although you know not what either of them do.
All right.
All right, at this point, I'd like to go ahead and go to intermission. We're going to go ahead and take a 15-minute break, during which time I'm going to roll a long ad, and we will be back in 15 minutes. Otherwise, I will see you all then. And we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Ianfyr, you just opened the lockbox that was given to you earlier by Sarahee. There appears to have been a note inside that was written to you before the entire you leaving happened. In fact, I wanted to say that you actually recall the most recent trip over. Hold on. As soon as I remember the place's name again, I keep forgetting this. Argenport. You remember your last trip to Argenport happened it was probably about two or so weeks before you had departed Schapeben because you found Sarahee murdered. You had actually taken Sarahee on one of the ferries over the Gulf, and you had both went over there just to go see what it was about. You had been there once before because you kind of, scoped the place out before you had gotten your original ticket. You'd stowed away on a ship and made your way over there to see what it was like, and it seemed really pretty, so you wanted to show your best friend. So you took her over there, and it seems that she really appreciated that. Also included in that lockbox were two additional items. Just to recap, one was one was a whistle, and one seems to be some sort of potion. It's a strange, I believe, a red liquid suspended in a bottle, if I remember correctly.
And this was all in like a lockbox?
No, it's a clear potion, actually. Yes, it is a...
okay.
It is in a lockbox, yes.
Wait, it was a potion and what else?
And a whistle.
A whistle, okay.
Yeah, some kind of whistle. Ianfyr, what are you doing at this point?
I am not really sure at the moment because wanted to try to get to sleep, but
then you also decided to open the lockbox.
yeah.
Yeah, now you're pretty intrigued.
So I'm going to. You said Sarahi's awake now, right?
She's awake. She's kind of had her head tilted back toward the ceiling, and she is just staring kind of blankly Just looks like she's sort of processing everything that has happened.
So I'm gonna look to Sarahee and kind of go, do you remember that last trip we took?
Vividly. Why?
Oh, I just wanted to... I was always just wondering where you wanted to go afterwards.
Well, she sort of her eyes shift off to one side. Afterwards, how do you mean?
Well, I mean, there was sort of an idea, I think, right? Where if we were gonna meet up.
Oh. Well, other than the usual spot, but I think what you might be referring to is leaving the city?
I mean, that
Yes.
was what you were suggesting.
To be honest, I hadn't really thought about a destination. I really just favored the company.
Mm.
That and... I mean, you understand. This place is... It can be strangling. What with, certain, well, individuals being here. Your mind shifts immediately, of course, to your family, her family. I always thought the prospect of adventuring with you to be intriguing. We, she, smiles. We definitely had our share of trouble, but we always managed. Oh, would that I could turn back time. But, I mean, it seems fate's given us a second chance. Hasn't it?
Certainly seems that way for the moment.
For the moment, you say. Indeed. She sort of nods her head. Kind of stares blankly toward the hearth, which Valphalin is sitting in front of. Valphalin takes yet another long drag off of his pipe. And with a pillow of smoke billowing from his mouth, he says, "You too seem to have quite a colorful history. Might I inquire, what was the nature of your friendship prior to your leaving Schapeben, Ianfyr?"
Well, I mean, I was practicing my magical skills, but really I was more just scamming the folks out of money because, I mean, I was just acting out more than anything. And Sarahee was always the one to sort of like plan things out.
You see the sort of blank stare kind of crack into a smile, and she says, we definitely got into our share of trouble. Mostly the Storm Rider. Old Sparky, eh?
Hmm.
He never caught you. Nor me, of course.
Well, I definitely suspect, for you at least, that he probably might have gotten a word to your father.
More than one occasion, in fact. Oh, my father knew from the beginning he couldn't control me. Doubt he even knows where I am now, but I'm a grown woman now. I have my autonomy. Thankfully, for the most part, he's been respectful of that, in the very least. Perhaps he's done some growing too.
Well, it may come to a point where, in order to fight this thing, we need to talk with the people in the college, and in that regard, we may need to talk to your father.
I expected such a circumstance. I just hope you know that I'll be by your side until the end, as always.
Of course.
We're friends, right?
Of course we are.
Well, I'm just glad you came back to the city. Regardless of the other circumstances, we're here now. I'd like to make the best of it. Indeed. Circumstances aside, it is clear to me that you both share a, well, long-running bond. Clearly, you've more history than I've with most. For that, I am admittedly a bit jealous. In other words, to think I'd find you traveling with a dragonborn, rare as they are. At this point, Yestis chimes in, says, oh, honey, dragonborns are not that rare. Down in the southern part of Solterra, that's where most of them are. That a fact. I've never been down that way. Perhaps I should plan a trip. Sure. You, what about your family? Don't know them. Never met. They found me abandoned and took me into a monastery in Imajokia. That's kind of surprising. Imajokia, huh? Yes. It is my place of birth, at least as far as I know. Imajokia, huh? Yes, this kind of trails off in thought. Well, We've a creature to fight, and not that it would be easier without a full night's rest. He kind of slumps back in his chair. Well, I'll see you all in the morning. Night, Val. Ianfyr, Tess, Rek? What are you guys up to?
I think Rek is snoozing.
Oh, Rek
right?
is over here like,
Yeah, Rick laid out.
Yeah.
when I make a joke, it's funny. Ianfyr, Tess, what are y'all doing?
Well, Tess is making the rounds through the area.
You seem to have a druid following you.
Yeah, I'm out of wild shape, so I'm not in wolf form, and I am very uncomfortable.
Tess making the rounds back to the bar, heard?
I mean, okay, so a huge part of making the rounds was to make sure that we're going to keep the tavern owners safe. So Tess has some considerable anxieties about wanting to make sure that we're all good here.
As soon as you walk out onto the floor, the bartender looks up at you from his work. You can see the sort of bags under his eyes.
Does this poor guy ever sleep? What freaking time is it?
It's pretty late. He just seems to be up late, going about his usual tasks. He's cleaning up the bar. Hey, Tess, was it?
That's correct.
Yeah, let me pour you one on the house, huh?
Oh, no, thank you. Tess could actually use a glass of water instead, though.
Water then. You see him pull up a flask. Well, not a flask. I'm sorry, a pitcher, and pour out some
Pitcher of water.
into a cup and sets it down before you. He pulls up his own drink. Nightcap, you know.
Understandable. Where, if you do not mind Tess asking, where exactly do you sleep these days?
Oh, I've got my own room downstairs.
Oh, okay.
Pretty common for a bartender to live in the establishment, you know?
Tess actually did not know because Tess has never been a bartender in a tavern.
Ah, the not really well-traveled sort. I get it.
Oh no, Tess is very well traveled. Just has never been a bartender living in a tavern. You understand?
You're an interesting kind. What about your friend? You want a drink?
Yolanthe? Are you thirsty? Beelines over.
I think
That was
until
great.
they were talking, she was just kind of like nervously like wandering around, like pacing, just like looking at the windows and everything.
What can I get you? It's on the house. Don't worry about it.
Not whiskey.
Not whiskey. Coming up. You see him kind of turn around and he grabs a bottle of what looks like a
Whiskey?
deep. He no. He turns around. He grabs what looks like a bottle of deep red wine and pours it into a glass and sets it right in front of you. I think you'll appreciate this one, Druid.
Thanks.
I'd like you both to roll a perception check, if you please.
Oh no, I don't have my wolf stance.
It's okay.
Arnar.
This one's based on sight, so it would be a little bit different anyway. Oof. And yet it's still a 12.
Oof.
What the fuck?
How was my one higher than
You've
Yay,
got
bonuses.
got a very high perception score. So
yeah,
with that
I
in
guess
mind,
it's still plus 11.
with that in mind, and since one is not an automatic fail unless the DM says so, you both know that, or you both notice that Kolvar's cheeks appear to be a bit wet. Looks maybe like he's had some tears recently.
Is everything all right?
Oh, sure. He so he sets down his own glass on the bar and he kind of leans in. So what's keeping you ladies up tonight?
Oh, just general travel anxieties.
Anxiety, is it? I've definitely encountered that before.
Nothing to concern yourself over, though. Just, just lady stuff.
Ah, lady stuff, is it? Although, I'm not really sure how I know that.
Nothing to concern yourself over. Certainly, do you have any sisters? Surely you have a mother, you remember.
Oh. I left my mother's house a long time ago. She,
Estranged.
yeah, you could say that. She wasn't terribly happy that I was, running a bar, Just something I always enjoyed.
At the end of the day, that's all that matters. If you enjoy what you do, as they say, you do not work a day in your life.
So I've been told. He kind of turns back. Oh, didn't mean to do that. He kind of turns back toward the shelf behind him, grabs a different bottle off of that shelf, and pours himself another drink. Swirls it around, staring into it for a moment, and goes, real weird. I can't help but feeling like there's just something missing. Just can't put my finger on it.
A new rug, maybe?
Maybe.
Perhaps some more wait staff, just to help the other customers out.
And some plants,
Yeah, maybe. It has been
a
really
cat.
hard running this place all by myself, what with only one waitress.
Tess is trying not to be emotional.
Yeah, no, I'm like sitting there like biting my lip.
A tavern cat to help keep the rats out of your rations, your barley and your rice would be a good choice.
Don't know. Cats like to knock stuff off counters, I hear.
But they help keep the pests away.
Dogs chase rats too.
Dogs.
Where's that?
A friendly. We're both just like tearing up, like at the bar, like helping this man renovate his tavern.
You all gonna be okay?
Just a long night,
Hey, lady time, I get it.
Lady time, yes. It's just lady stuff.
Well, if you'd like another drink, you let me know. Otherwise, I have a long list of work to do. I don't know how I usually get sleep. Maybe I should hire some other people. He kind of mumbles as he walks back to the counter.
Tess just like heaves a huge sigh, and she's like staring down at her empty glass of water, like not really knowing what to do about the current situation.
Yolanthe kind of picks up the wine glass, but starts like slurping it like a dog does. But then she stops and she shakes her head and drinks it like a normal ass human.
The taste of this wine is very earthy. It doesn't have a whole lot of. It has almost a smoky but somewhat fruity note in there, almost like blueberries. If you had to relate it to something, delicious though. Otherwise,
Oh, let's try some.
what's that?
Yolanthe told Tess to try some because she liked it.
Tess will reach over and grab the glass and take a little sippy sip. Ooh, pungent. Very flavorful though. Very flavorful though. That is how pungent that is. Dried out Tess's tongue a little.
Bartender walks over with a towel and he wipes down the bar in front of you. You hear him humming. Still don't know how I know that song. He kind of mumbles to himself as he continues on. Tess, Yolanthe, you recognize this. This is the song that was playing the other night when him and his wife were dancing.
Of fucking course it was.
Well, going to continue the rounds.
Yolanthe puts the now empty glass back on the counter and she gets up to follow Tess, but then she kind of stops and looks at the barkeep and she's like, "Did you ever regret leaving?"
You know, and he takes a drink from his glass. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I didn't.
She nods very slowly, kind of like 1,000 yards staring at him a little bit, and then she just says, "Well, you're doing great." And she like awkwardly like waves and then runs off to follow Tess.
Oh, before you leave, you know, I'm a lot happier that I did. And I think that counts for something. You gotta live in the now.
Yeah. I'm happier I did. Sometimes I feel bad I didn't say goodbye to, well, the people I left.
You know, maybe you left those people for a reason. And as a bartender, maybe that reason is to be right where you are.
I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be, I just don't know why.
Those things aren't always so clear, right? But hey, it's late. Have another glass of wine. Take it to your room. Maybe think on it a bit. And, you know, if you need more, I'll be right out here.
Thank you. But while she's walking to where Tess is, she kind of pulls the little ornament thing that Falsgrave had given her earlier, and just kind of holds it in her hand and just kind of looks at it while she sips the wine.
The ridges of the tree, as you sort of grip this thing, seem to run against the palm of your hand in a very specific way that you find comforting in this situation.
She
Looking
holds
back,
on to it like a little fidget spinner, but she's like, "I'm not sure how this is supposed to help."
you start spinning it like fidgets.
No, just like kind of like, you know, like how people do. They just kind of hold something and just like run it in their hands, like you know, like Play-Doh or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm autistic. I do it all the time.
Yeah, you get it.
You look back around, and he's once again cleaning up the bar. Just seriously, how do I know that song?
Oof.
Where are you guys headed?
Well, Tess was walking by this little band of adventurers. She's kind of observing their activity.
So these are the bards. They play in the establishment most nights. They seem to be awake and having drinks with each other. And the tabaxi here is actually tuning up their stringed instrument.
Tess has a request, but cannot remember the name of the song. If Tess hums a couple of chords, do you think you might be able to do something with that?
The sort of band leader approaches you. Well, go ahead.
Tess wants to hum the rhythm that the Tavern Keep has been humming.
Go ahead and roll a performance check.
Okay.
Let's see how this turns out. Wow.
Blast them
Whoa.
pipes.
You're able to generally get a pretty close rendition of what the bartender's been humming, and the bartender immediately looks up at you, humming the same thing as him. Oh, sure.
It's just Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Tess is just trying to help keep the tavern owner, like, I guess, as calm as possible. We're trying to keep all the townsfolk as calm as possible while we're like dealing with this situation. So Tess
Meanwhile,
figured
we're
that
all
maybe-
traumatized.
right?
Oh.
We're
Oh, Frere Jacques, Frere Jacques.
Oh no.
Dormez-vous.
He taps on his two mates and he says, "A moonlit walk in G," and they start playing. One moment, please.
Tess tosses a couple of coins their way. Do they have like a receptacle for it, or should she just be trashy and throw it on the floor?
It's not even on the floor. We'll have it in the instrument cases like any good musician.
Oh.
They start playing a song. And as you said you were tossing coins on the floor, yeah?
Yeah.
As you do, the gentleman with the lute, he bows his head at you in acknowledgement, in respect.
And Tess will continue making her rounds, but she is kind of making it a point to stay around the tavern in general as she just paces around, because she's really worried about the people in the tavern. We can handle ourselves, but these people are innocent. They need help.
Bartender just seems to kind of go around his bar, and he continues cleaning. That's how I know that song. You see, like, tears start kind of streaming down his face as he circles
will,
back around to the other side of the bar.
Tess will make a internal note to keep that in mind.
What are you guys going to do now? We going to sleep for the night? What are we doing?
I would like to, because I want my wolf form back. Yolanthi's very uncomfortable.
Tess did get some sleep. Unless somebody else is willing to take Overwatch, though, she doesn't feel comfortable leaving the tavern owner alone. So she'll take the exhaustion hit for that.
Let's see.
He doesn't stay up the entire night. Once he finishes up with the bar, he actually kind of fucks off and goes into the back room back here. I'm just going to kind of drag him through the wall. You see him enter one of the... you see him enter that back room, and he just kind of vanishes for the night. And as he passes by you, he's like, "Good night, Tess."
Good night, friend. Sleep well.
You too. All right. I would like everyone to go ahead and roll me a wisdom save. All right. All right. So performance check. Rek, you gonna roll for me? Yolanthy?
For me to sleep?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Wisdom save.
No.
Please.
I mean, we know we have these
Nerd.
faces outside our window. Hey guys.
I figured if people were going back to sleep, someone would wake me up.
Yeah, Tess parked on this chair out here in the tavern, so... Sorry.
Save or
Woke
just
you up.
an ability?
It's a save. I'll take an ability check though. We'll run with that if you rolled it that way. All right.
Oh, whoops. Mine was a save. All right.
That's okay. That's all right. We'll take it. Sleep doesn't come terribly easy to you all, but once you do get to sleep, there are vivid images of a pale white face with wet black eyes, almost dripping down the cheeks. A gaping maw with sharp teeth. But it just stares. Whether it's unable to attack you or just that it doesn't want to, you're not sure. When you finally do awaken, it is morning. Oh.
Do we long rest or not?
Yeah, you can all set yourself for a long rest.
Just not a very good one.
Just not a very good one. Without failing, wakes up from his chair, stands up, and sort of brushes himself off. Oh. Hopefully not too many more nights like that. He looks out the door, out the window, nearby, and you see him just kind of pace out. Rek, are you stepping outside into the hallway as well?
Yeah, he steps out and takes a look.
You see him kind of looking outside, those earplugs still in his ears. Well, he doesn't really have ears, but still applies. He's looking out the window. It's still there. I was hoping when we woke up it wouldn't be there.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Looking out, is there one that's bigger than the rest of them?
They all appear to be around the same size. They're just kind of strewn about the entire city, popping up in various locations. You see about 2 of them in your view here.
It's all just hella creepy.
We need a way to fight it. A way to defeat it. Any thoughts?
No, I got nothing for sure. I mean, they do leave a hole, so that physically goes somewhere. I don't know about jumping down a hole after something. You can't know what's down there.
Seems kind of dangerous to me. Yes,
Yeah.
he says as he comes out. What choice do we have, though?
I mean, if we can't find out anything else, say we take it up as a vote or something. See what the rest of them want to do.
You see Darkul appear from the room behind you. Says, what about getting the nobility involved? Maybe we could get something organized? I mean, if y'all think that's not a good idea, you can just tell me.
I don't rightly know. I'm not as familiar as with the nobility here.
Tess, you and Ianfyr are awake, by the way.
And Rek looks towards Ianfyr. What do you think? Are the nobility worth bringing into this?
Well, the problem is we have to be able to present this threat to them. And the moment we do, they're going to panic. And the moment we panic, that thing's just going to strike.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm I'm ready to go down to the blacksmith shop where we know we got an open hole that I can go down.
Makes you wonder how many different, well, holes there are.
I've been thinking a little bit about this.
Oh,
Because my memory of around here was that I left because of Sarahee's murder. And yet,
indeed.
Sarahee is here now, and we even found, thanks to, I believe Ianfyr watching over, that Sarahee went to her home with her family, and my memory is they were all dead. Maybe going there will help solve both of those mysteries.
Interesting.
Plus, her father is of nobility. If nothing else, we could talk with him to see what might be the best course of action.
I see. I'm willing to give that a shot. And if you need an official, well, I'm a representative of House Godbury. I'm pretty sure I have a little bit of pull. In case it's needed, of course.
I guess how many people we can bring around without causing a ruckus might be the better option. I'm with you, Ianfyr.
I'd prefer it if we stayed together. That way we know that we're all safe.
Oh, that too.
We need some way to be able to speak with people outside of, well, here. Without having to remove our earplugs. Sarahee says, am I hearing right that we will be headed to my parents', is it? My family home?
I think that's the best course of action for us.
If you think it's best. Tess, you're awakened to Scriteau approaching from behind, and Ianfyr pacing over toward the bar.
Yeah, Ianfyr goes up to the bar and she says, I think we're going to all need a very big breakfast.
Bartender, bags under his eyes. Hey, good morning, and of course.
Thank you, and good morning. I hope it's a good day. It's raining outside now, yeah?
It was yesterday, it's not today.
Oh,
Doesn't
okay.
seem to be, as far as you can tell from the windows.
Well, Ianfyr, after Ianfyr speaks to him, she goes over to one of the windows to kind of just peer outside at the skies.
It's cloudy, and once again, with your earplugs in, just barely able to discern everything in a quiet environment such as this, you are once again treated to the view of the huge trunk-like necks reaching up from the ground.
Ugh. She backs away from the window and then kind of tries to, just kind of, without looking too suspicious or too awkward, goes back over to where Tess was.
Phelan also makes his way out into the bar proper. And Yestus in tow. Hail, and good morning.
I hope so.
Good morning.
Did you sleep out here all night, Tess?
Yes.
Yes, Tess. What? Oh.
That's funny because we have Yestus here, and I am Tess, and he is Yestus, and Tess is quite hungry.
After talking to the bartender for a moment, you see Trixie run back to the kitchen, and you see the fires kind of shoot up from there. You just kind of see the light of the stove and all of those fires. Excuse me, you're not supposed to be in here. If you please. Did you just close the door behind you? Creepy. Whoa.
Rec went in to check. and then when I was clicking away to bring him back, I clicked the door.
Ope closes the door.
Yep.
We're alone in here.
I chewed some meat for you, please respond.
The others also come out, Darkul and Sarahee, to join you all. Sarahee sits down next to you at the bar, Ianfyr. Darkul.
Yolanthe.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yolanthe ruffles Skrito's feathers, and then she looks over at Phelan and says, I had an idea, I think.
Oh?
Well, we know these things are all over the place, right?
Indeed.
But we just don't know where they're coming from? Where their source is?
Well, they
What
seem
if-
to be coming from below ground, although a singular source, yes, is difficult to identify.
What if I got a bit of a bird's eye view to see if we see more of them in one spot? I could fly above the city for a bit and see if there's any patterns.
Are you sure it's safe?
Well, no, but it's something, at least. And I wouldn't be gone long. I'd come right back.
As long as you're able to make it back quickly, I worry about splitting the party at this point, you understand?
Well,
I think we're all worried about going missing.
I think that we'll be worried about that anyway. But maybe we can save it for later.
If you're confident, just stay in touch via the ring. Keep us up to date, maybe?
She looks at the she just kind of looks around the tavern and she says, if I go now while everyone has their breakfast, maybe it'll only take a few minutes. The city's not that big, I don't think. I
Seems
just want a quick
reasonable
look
to
is
me.
all. She nods and then she starts heading towards the door. And then she kind of turns around and looks at him and says, I'll be back soon. If I'm not, well... And then she kind of shrugs and starts heading towards the door again.
Just return safe, my friend. Everybody kind of piles around the bar. as you take off. Ianfyr, we'll be back shortly. As for the rest of yous,
Just waiting on food. I mean, was food already ordered or no?
it sounded
can't
like
remember.
Ianfyr had put in an order for food, and Trixie actually comes out with these like plates full of various things.
Okay.
Places them all on the bar at the end here. There you go, boss. Thanks, Trixie. And he starts to kind of move all of these various platters throughout the bar. Hey, help yourself. It's on the tab.
Tess appreciates you, and she's going to immediately start digging in.
There's all different sorts of various foodstuffs laid out before you. That you see meats, you see vegetables, you see fruits, you see all sorts of eggs, all sorts of stuff. You pretty much have your pick of whatever you want to eat. Bartender
One
starts
of
pouring
everything.
ale in several different glasses and sets down glasses in front of you.
Tess is going to avoid drinking alcohol during this stressful time.
Val picks up that mug. Easy. Yestis forgoes the ale. He's taken that swig out of his flask already.
Swig. Fucking knocks it back every time.
Knocks it back every time. Ianfyr, you take off from the front of the bar after you transform into...
I think it was an owl last time, wasn't I?
Are we going owl this time?
I believe so, yeah. She gets outside, she touches her amulet, it glows, eye glows. She transforms into her owl that still has the weird wolf eye and kind of like awkwardly like tries to reposition the wrappings around her head so that she'll still be able to
They transform with you.
not hear. Okay. I was kind of wondering. I was kind of like, okay, that's going to be hard to do with wings, but I'll manage.
Heckin' magic.
Heckin' magic. All right, so she kind of takes off towards the sky. She just wants to do kind of a general swoop around just to kind of like see if there's any pattern at all with where these things seem to gather the most often, or if they travel, or if a new one's formed, or what's going on.
As far as you can tell, these things appear to be just all over the city. There doesn't seem to be a point where they are concentrated, but something that you do notice as you fly around is that people are milling about as they would usually do in the city, and occasionally you'll see one person who approaches, say, the potion parlor in the market district. They seem confused for a minute, and then they walk away, as if they aren't aware of their original business there. This happens with a couple of various shops, but you also notice the streets being a bit more scarce than what you're used to seeing as you've been walking around the past few days. Particularly, there are a few houses dotted throughout some of the districts that appear to be vacant. You're flying around. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I kind of want to like swoop down a little bit lower to get a little closer to one of the people who went to the potion shop and then got confused and walked away, and just kind of see where they go.
Ah, sure. So you I don't think you need to roll for this at all. So you kind of fly down, and using that vision of yours, you keep an eye on the one of the people that seemed like they were confused in front of the shop a few moments ago, and they seem to continue about their business through the market. They stop off at the restaurant, get a bite to eat, and afterward they move on back toward the residential district, back to their home.
Okay. All right, and then I want to fly up again and kind of take note of which houses look to be vacant. Like, are they all in one spot, or are they scattered?
The ones that you notice seem to be scattered throughout the city. By the way, as you're flying around, you notice 1, 2, 3. Looks like this thing has 5 of these huge trunks. And they just seem to move about the city.
How do they move?
They kind of tuck into the ground and then they appear coming up through the ground at a different location.
Interesting. Okay. I think that's about all I can get from this. So Yolanthe heads back to the tavern and lands in front of the door and like just kind of hops inside as an owl still, but then stops and shakes her head and like transforms back.
Right. Everybody is probably finishing up their food at this point. And as you approach Yolanthe, you hear Valphalin. So, how do we fight something that we can't see, that exists in, well, the way that it does?
As long as we keep our ears plugged, we should be okay. But Tess does think that maybe we should consult some books or something about this creature. Perhaps the library, or even just asking some higher-ups.
Asking who? I'm sorry.
Nobility? Or any other wizards? Ianfyr, do you know of anyone that could help us figure out how to handle something like this?
I mean, I can think of. I mean, if these were the only books that had any mention, the library might, but I seriously doubt it because apparently this is a creature of myth. We could try the School of Magic, but I would not be confident.
What if we made them see what we were seeing?
That would be a good way to convince them.
How many earplugs were you able to make, Rek?
Oh, I was doing it for a good long while, and I know Valphalin was making them too. I'm not sure how many we would have been able to crank out.
You probably got quite a bit, based on the candle wax you were able to find.
There are no candles left in the tavern.
There are probably no candles left in the tavern.
At least none in that storeroom.
Yeah, not in
But
that store.
this supply should be good enough. Tess thinks that we should seek help from other magic users here, but we need to help them see what we're seeing.
Agreed.
Now, Tess is not the best public speaker. This may be a chance for Ianfyr to step up and maybe give a good speech. You know, bring that charisma in.
I mean, I can do my best, but I don't exactly have a great history with them.
Tess believes in you. Unless anybody else has other ideas or a different plan.
Other than just stabbing it with a sword until it dies, I have nothing, I'm afraid. I've never read anything of such a creature.
So, all four going to the college?
Well, I think before we go to the college, we may go first to Sarahee's parents' place, because if nothing else, it could potentially give us a noble who could help speak up for us.
After you.
And with that, I'd like to go ahead and end the episode here. We'll go ahead and pick this up in 2 weeks. And until then, let me actually swap over to the stream ending scene. There we go. I'm actually using it this time. So until then, keep a song in your heart, and thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye!